Well, then there's the auto pen as well. That's another wild thing.
The Biden presidency by auto pen went on for years, keeping America in the dark to this day about who was really acting as president.
Many of these people that were pardoned by auto pen.
Former First Lady, of course, insists all along that Joe was fully in command.
I did not create a cocoon around him. I mean, you saw him in the Oval Office. He wasn't hiding somewhere.
It begs the question, how was that negotiated? Who was involved in that? Who made those decisions? What was their motivation? Were they compensated?
The White House is reviewing 1 million documents approved the Biden auto pen.
The former president, Biden, says he was advised on all this, and the auto pen was primarily used for collective pardons. We have a number of people included in that. At the end of the day, people's confidence level in politicians and the media is at an all-time low.
When Joe Rogan shoots, nobody is safe, least of all Joe Biden, who treats speeches like boss battles and staircases like treasure hunts for lost ideas. It's not just a roast. However, the attack is verbal. Rogan cuts through Biden's errors with surgical sarcasm, turning each one into a brilliant comedic assault. If you thought it was confusing, wait till you hear about Biden's presidency via Rogan's unapologetic brutality. Hold on tight. In this roast, no voice is ignored.
He accidentally told us their entire plan years ago.
We know he wasn't really running the country.
When we disagree, it'll be just like when Barack and I did. It's in private. She'll say, I think we should do A. And I'll say, I like A, don't like B and C. And I told Barack, if I reach something where there's a fundamental disagreement we have based on a moral principle, I'll develop some disease and say I have to resign. We don't have that. We haven't.
They let him talk.
If you like this video, please click the bell icon and subscribe to the channel. The father who previously confused his own granddaughter for his deceased son tried to explain quantum computing with the promise that someone would lead him to his childhood home, which, incidentally, he may no longer even be able to see on Google Maps. As if it were an Olympic competition, Joe Biden, America's walking teleprompter malfunction, keeps redefining the phrase, blunder. Yet he still leaves the stage as though he's won a gold medal for remembering to take a breath. Didn't he post something the other day about how they killed Biden by using a clone?
Didn't he post something the other day that Biden was assassinated? They used a clone?
Whoa.
God, I hope he did.
You know what's happening to the Parks
Didn't
Department?
that like Truth Social, didn't he post something like that? Some wild thing that somebody posted? Biden, this isn't even Biden. Because he had a bunch of plastic surgery. He had his face pulled back like a lizard.
Do you know what they're actually doing at the Forest Department? Every email they sent that mentions biodiversity gets bounced back.
There was no need for Joe Rogan to exert himself. The roast almost cooked itself. Think about a guy who should be the head of the country but handles public. Speaking like a spelling bee, catastrophic was the word he heard just now. But too many people were going crazy trying to comprehend Biden's words. We hold these truths to be, you know, the thing. His comments have become the archetypal drinking game trigger. Furthermore, if he makes a point at all, it's either completely improvised or from a different decade.
Unfounded conspiracy theory claiming Biden was executed in 2020.
Holy hell.
Oh, who is he debating then?
Who did it, Stairs?
That is so ridiculous.
But who is he debating? He thinks he was...
What do you mean?
He debated him in 2020.
Oh, he debated a different guy.
He's saying it's a clone?
Yeah, not Biden anymore.
Yeah, the one he kind of lost, I bet he was like, fucking clone showed up.
Rogan didn't hold back. He brought up Biden's now famous stair climb narrative, in which he confronted the steps of Air Force One like the final boss in a video game. You would think that after one president, 3 trips, and 1,000 memes, someone would have put up a chairlift. But even if it means embarrassing oneself in front of the world, dignity must prevail. Joe's vertical issues were so prevalent that they were now included into the weather forecast. Many of Biden's mistakes were overlooked.
Forgave a lot of Biden stumbles.
To take the most aggressive action ever in confronting the climate crisis and strengthening our economy, our energy security.
Until they were like, what the
You watch that and you realize maybe they are going to run him again because he doesn't actually exist. He is merely a conduit through which they change America. He has no idea what he's saying.
You know, a lot of people like in 2020 were like, there's no way he's going to do it.
Then there is the whispering, the grandfatherly, uncanny lean-in whisper that should be a message, but instead makes skin crawl from sea to shining. See, it's like watching your substitute teacher try to be cool, only that this teacher has nuclear codes and often loses them. While whispering that he is uncovering a plot, Biden ultimately tells you that the truth is messed up. Rogan ripped it up with the kind of blunt force sarcasm that only he could afford. There was nothing malicious about it, that was just the fact. During a press conference, Biden's mumbling seemed less like a display of leadership and more like someone nervously narrating a bedtime story to a raccoon. The destruction of Medicare is underway.
To keep him up and peppy, let him out there all confused, and apparently he had a cold at the time too.
In fact, pay 8.2% in taxes. If they just paid 24%, 25%, either one of those numbers, they've raised $500 billion, I should say, in a 10-year period.
The Biden administration, the people didn't want him to step down.
Make sure that all those things need to do, child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our health care system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person.
Supposedly Jill did not want him to step down. But then there's the cancer thing. How do they not know that he has cancer?
And let's not forget,
No one in the Biden administration wanted him to go. It is said that Jill opposed his resignation. And then there's the cancer problem. How could they not have known he had cancer? It is important not to ignore the diplomatic journey abroad, which is frequently referred to as where in the world is Joe Biden now, and does he know it? He once welcomes French leaders as if they were longtime Delaware poker pals. The next time he's playing bingo, he's calling Australian politicians by whatever moniker comes to mind. Rogan likened it to a toddler using crayons to sign while traversing the world with a phony passport. When your foreign connections rely on your capacity to remember people's names, maybe you should steer clear of choosing a guy who thinks Margaret Thatcher is still in control of Britain. Rogan dove into the policy muck. Rogan compared it to ignoring your Uber driver while flying through the airport. In this occasion, however, the voyage ended in disaster. The passengers were allies of the United States, and the bag contained military hardware valued at billions of dollars. The fraud of student loan forgiveness came next.
Did you know Biden was out of his mind?
Right.
Like, how did you know?
Yeah.
Like, Elizabeth Warren was like, he was sharp as a tack.
Oh.
He was getting up for meetings.
Never
like,
seen him better. I heard that too. It's like,
Joe Scarborough.
Yeah.
He's like, this is the best version of Biden I've ever seen.
He was sharp. He was on his feet. I saw it. Live event. I had meetings with him a couple of times.
Like, you should be literally in jail.
God.
You're such a liar.
Yeah.
You almost like shifted the whole. Imagine if Biden stayed in. They lied about that, and then he's literally like a zombie for 4 more years.
Biden's effort to make the hip grandfather move of debt cancellation was rejected by the Supreme Court, according to Rogan. You're essentially committing to a Netflix original featuring incompetence. When the man who can't remember where he parked tries to restructure the entire student loan system, how well did he comprehend economics? This guy can't say it right, and it sounds like a supply chain is strangling him. He vowed to combat inflation with the same fervor as a youngster promising to clean their room after playing Rogan slammed Biden's absurdity for rapidly discarding economic programs like last season's sneakers, while blaming greedy corporations for the price of eggs. Rogan suggested that if Biden had one more Amtrak flashback, he would rename the Pentagon Union Station. The narratives are always oddly perfect, as if they were written by a Hallmark screenwriter who didn't pass history.
Biden said yesterday.
What did he say?
Oh, Jay, did you see it? They let him talk.
He's like, what, 80-something, 90?
Out of nowhere, they let. Yeah. They're letting him talk, and I'm like, who's letting him talk? This is crazy. Here, I'll send you this, Jamie. It's so silly. He's fucking gone, bro. He's gone, and they let him talk. They just let him get out in the open and put a microphone in front of his face. But I guess, like, as a former president, you can kind of request, I like to speak my mind.
Without going beyond, Rogan ridiculed Biden's use of the teleprompter. He reads everything, including stage directions, technical notes, and perhaps the cautionary tale too, don't read this. It was like seeing a confused artificial intelligence try to understand sarcasm in real time, Rogan said. While the teleprompter assumes the role of president, Biden is only there to try out for a job he has already forgotten he has. Furthermore, how can we ignore Brandon's well-known dark period? Biden's attempt to remake himself as a strong, determined leader failed more than a Walmart brand firecracker. Rogan dismissed the concept as if it were a shoddy comic book reboot. When your edgy alter identity needs a dramatic red lighting setup and still sounds like someone's confused uncle, maybe more is required for the transformation than a meme and sunglasses. Let's talk about the pandemic now. According to them, follow the science. The next step is follow me. Then he collides with a flagpole head-on. No joke was necessary for Rogan. Biden's pandemic preparations had more flip-flops than a beachside souvenir shop.
He was a body double?
That guy walked very differently than Biden. I saw that. I'm like, am I Alex Jones today?
No, he's a lot taller.
Nice jacket. Nice jacket. President Biden.
No, he's physically taller.
Yeah, okay.
And he walks way better. Like, as someone who you watch Biden walk, he had a stiffness, like death was coming for him.
President, how are you feeling? How are you feeling? How are you feeling?
Energy policy. On the pitch, it was just another day. Biden tried to be the blue-collar guy and the climate hero at the same time, like eating greens while driving a monster truck. Rogan called attention to the paradox of advocating for electric vehicles, while urging oil-producing countries to boost their production, as if it were prom night at OPEC high. Biden's strategy was as logical as a jargon-filled, unlidded blender. This brings us to Biden's ravenous hunger for ice cream. In the middle of a natural disaster briefing, the guy may suddenly depart to get a scoop. According to Rogan, Biden's national crisis meter is based on how near Baskin-Robbins is. Rogan just cited the videos and let viewers form their own unpleasant conclusions rather than leveling charges. The handsy tendencies and strange sniffing episodes combined to produce an inevitable nightmare. Next came
Biden Don Lemon conversation.
No.
So watch this.
Are you okay? I mean, you see, no, it works. Or the mom and dad, or the neighbor, or when you. No, I really mean it. If your kid wanted to find out whether or not there's a man on the moon, who are the people they talk to beyond the kids who love talking about it?
If that was Donald Trump and he was talking that way, he would have jumped all over him.
Biden's claim that he was detained during a civil rights protest, which the police department allegedly couldn't confirm, Rogan said. It was the Netflix documentary that never happened. Joe seems to think he was there at every major historical event since the invention of fire, but his only souvenir is a tattered ticket to a story that no one remembers as real. Rogan likened it to a slot machine that chooses syllables at random, and with luck, 3 of them come together to form a well-known line. Biden was attacked by Rogan for his attempts to unite the nation, which unintentionally led him to blame half of the population for the weather, the economy, and his misplaced socks. He was able to fall asleep behind the wheel and throw wrenches. From the passenger's seat, all Biden had in common was the general confusion of millions of Americans who wondered if this was the true definition of leadership.
One of the things that's fascinating about Twitter now is they fact-check the Biden administration. So the Biden administration put out some tweets that were 100% horseshit, and then underneath it, Twitter fact-checked them, so deleted the tweets, which is glorious. That's amazing, and that's never happened before.
Yep, Community Notes is my favorite feature on Twitter by far.
Even after he retired, Biden still acts as like he had authority. The guy keeps giving statements after leaving office as if he had anything significant to say, but he always concludes by congratulating Canada on winning the Super Bowl with the elegance of a sledgehammer. Rogan crushed that ego trip. He still conducts press conferences as if the locks on the White House haven't been changed. The dogs should also not be disregarded. Biden's dogs were almost exiled from the White House after a string of too aggressive incidents. People even started talking about Joe's walk. It was like seeing a retired magician do a last trick and then forget where he placed the rabbit, he said. But arguably the biggest joke of all was Biden's focus on being the most progressive president in history. Rogan's response was as if he were seeing a bell-bottomed guy who claimed to be the creator of TikTok. Every attempt by Biden to seem with it sounded like your grandfather trying to use emojis to explain cryptocurrency. It's charming and catastrophic at the same time. Biden was still able to begin preparing for re-election before realizing he would have to run for office again, in spite of all of this chaos.
Give me some volume and go full screen, because this is, you got to see his face.
People pulling into the parking lot, and I had never seen hardly any black people in Scranton at the time, and I was only going in the 4th grade. And I remember seeing the kid going by at the time called colored kids on a bus going by. They never turned right to go to Claymont High School. I wondered why. Asked my mom, why? So in Delaware, they're not allowed to go to school, public school, with white kids on it. That sparked my sense of outrage as a kid, just like it does. I mean, and these young kids right here can tell you things affect them when they learn about something that's really just unfair and unjust.
When Rogan woke up after a nap, he compared it to a guy declaring he was ready for a triathlon. The confidence was inspiring. The execution itself, absolutely not. You don't have to exaggerate. In the real world, the movie speaks for itself. Biden's bloopers footage may serve as the basis for a television series. Rogan scribbled earnestly in big red letters, drew arrows, and formed connections. The whole Biden presidency was reduced to such a long joke by him that it needed commercial breaks. What is the most remarkable feature? Biden doesn't even realize it. He's out there telling tales about Amtrak Joe and shaking invisible hands while the rest of the country is deciding whether to laugh, cry, or add subtitles. Rogan doesn't have to demolish Biden, a live autopsy of a presidency held together by duct tape and illusion. He didn't shout. He didn't disseminate misinformation. Holding up the mirror, he saw a confused man looking for his next ice cream cone and aviators who claimed to have established democracy. Despite everything, Biden is still requested to speak as if he had anything new to say. Rogan compared handing Biden a microphone to handing a child a fire hose. There will be chaos, no one will understand, and someone will definitely get soaked.